Hey everybody, Nick here, and today I got a review for you of these little guys right here. This is the Urban Survival Gear TiScribe pencil. That's right, it's a TiScribe Go, except it's a pencil instead. But first off, though, before I go any further, I got to thank Urban Survival Gear for sending these guys along. Kelvin reached out to me again, said, hey Nick, I got something else crazy I've been up to, you want to check it out? And at this point in time with them, yeah, the answer is generally yes. But nonetheless, he knows I'm going to talk about the good, the great, the bad, and the ugly. It might be a gem, it might be a junk. Nonetheless, he did still send it along. We do have to assume, though, that this is the very best quality control two of these guys ever, and I'm doing my best not to let that affect the nature or the quality of my review. Next thing, let's do some size comparison. Perhaps the most relevant size comparisons are the TiScribe Go itself. And so here it is against a TiScribe Go pen. So what you're going to see here is actually the tiny size pencil is actually a little bit smaller than the pen. Here is a full-size Urban Survival Gear TiScribe Go. This is their Stonewall edition. Again, actually, the pen is slightly larger than the pencil, which is not something I realized until this very, very moment. But nonetheless, so there is the Urban Survival Gear TiScribe comparison. Here it is against the TiScribe the Bolt 3, I think. Here it is against a standard Bic click stick sort of pen. Here it is against a pocket jotter, and here it is against a pen that I stole from a Hampton Inn. Sorry about that there, Hampton Inn. So anyways, there you go. That's your size comparison. Next up, the one important detail about this guy is this is a mechanical pencil. It's right at the very end there. We've got some lead coming out of the front there, as one would expect from a mechanical pencil. Up at the very top here, we have ourselves an eraser, and this eraser is in a removable little section over here, which is a beautiful thing. But this is a pencil through and through, and in fact, if we look inside, we can see that this is using a set of pencil guts from Schmidt, and this is using a 0.7 millimeter lead size, although you also have the option to get a 0.5. So anyways, this is a pencil, and then although you might see on the website it says limited edition, Kelvin has promised me that these will be being redone and restocked regularly, at the very least, you know, every so often. So nonetheless, there you go. Let's jump into the good, the great, the bad, and the ugly of these little guys right here. So the good side, to start with, there are three different kinds of material that are being offered here. They have, right off the bat here, we have the dark titanium, and that is, as you might imagine, a kind of titanium that is just a little bit darker than usual. They are also offering it in a bronze as well as a copper. I'm trying right now to locate my bronze. Oh, it's in my freaking pocket. That's why. Right here, I have a bronze, dark tie bronze sort of affair. And then there is also a copper version. I don't happen to have any of his stuff in copper, but nonetheless, you get three different options there. You also get clips that can be upgraded. This right here is another dark tie clip. And by the way, dark tie is just titanium, but with a process that makes it considerably darker than even if we compare it to some of Kelvin's earlier work. This is the one of the first generation TiScribe bolts, I believe. Nonetheless, we see it's just been given a finishing, makes it a little bit darker than normal. But anyways, you also have three different kinds of clips. You got the boring titanium one, as evidenced here. You have a Mokutai clip, which is a beautiful composite sort of material, as well as a Zirkutai option. You got the two different options of size. You've got the small and the regular size over here. And then all of these guys, you can also choose a different tip and or the bolt carrier, this little guy in the back here. That's the thing that the pocket clip screws into, right? So you can swap any of those things out either at the time of pickup or presumably if they're made available later on down the line. So that's a beautiful thing, and it allows you to really customize this and make it your own. If you like it, but you want to touch a bougie, bam, slam some Mokutai in there, right? No freaking problem. And so that's a nice thing. The other thing that's worth pointing out is this has the same kind of assembly as the more conventional TiScribe. Let me pull out a flashlight here. What I'm hopefully going to be able to show you is that if we look down inside of the belly of the beast here, what we see is down at the very bottom, there is actually a hex head. Let's see if I can zoom in and maybe show this off. Can I pull this? Oh, yeah, that's some cinematography down there. If you look down at the very bottom, there is actually a little set screw. That little set screw is holding the clip onto the pen itself, and so if you unscrew that, then the clip comes out, the bolt carrier slips out the back. Life is good, but that allows you to swap everything out using the same method that's been working very well for the TiScribe Go. So that's a nice thing, and it also allows you to swap out the clip if for whatever reason this happens to be like it gets caught or something like that. So that's a beautiful thing. Next thing, this is using a set of Schmidt pencil guts. I don't know that that's the proper term for it, but it's the term I have. Right here, this is the DSM 2006, like I said, this is 0.7 millimeter, but you also have the choice of 0.5 as well. This is a very solid pencil guts. It works quite well. I've used them both before, and in my experience with the pen, works great. So that's a beautiful thing. And it is the same set of guts in both pens. As you can see, they've just done a different spacer, basically, at the end here. This is a longer post, whereas on this guy, it is just sort of a stub at the very end. There is a spring in there as well that goes on to here. But anyways, so it is the same basic guts on both sides, and there is no distinction in terms of what leads or anything you can use for either of them. It's just 0.7, 0.5. That's a beautiful thing. Next thing, this feels very solid. It feels very dense, especially the little guy here. This is a substantial feeling tool, and the balance is great. It is it feels exactly kind of where I want it to be in the hand. It balances very nicely, and as a result, it writes very well. For me, actually, the mini size is slightly more, what's the term for feel but attractive? It's like, it's pretty feeling. Look, that's not a thing. I don't know English, but nonetheless, I like the mini one a little bit more in terms of feel in the hand. It seems to fit my relatively small hands perfectly, and it's just great. And so I appreciate that very much. And they both have, though, a very nice feel, a very nice balance to them, and also a very strong action to them, right? Like, strong here in this case, I mean as a good thing. Because you can actually deploy the pencil. Like, you can push the lead out here. I'll push the lead all the way in, so you see no lead here. And then in order to deploy lead, you can either press the eraser at the very end there, and you see we get some lead, or you can actually pull down on the clip, and you get the same thing. And because the eraser and the clip are both threaded into the same piece of metal, which is pressing the back of the pencil guts there, that kind of makes sense, right? But it is actually nice that you get a choice of how to do that, right? It may be more ergonomic at any given moment to do that, or maybe it doesn't really matter. But either way, it's a beautiful thing. So I appreciate that very much. Next thing, I gotta say, one little detail that I like very much is that the pencil guts here are actually, they're not just kind of sitting in here. These are actually quite firmly fixed, and the way that they are fixed is that they are threaded into that little foregrip here. There is a bit of threading on the pencil gut themselves, and what this means is that in theory, if something were to go wrong and your pencil guts were to break down, you wouldn't have to throw away the whole pen, right? Instead, you should be able to swap it out with another Schmidt system, as long as you've got a spacer here of the proper size and situation. So that's actually a very nice thing from a right to repair perspective. I love to see that, right? And of course, mechanical pencils are very, very good environmentally speaking, because, well, there's nothing to throw away, right? You just use the lead until it goes away, and then, yeah, so anyways, that's a nice little detail there, and that's true of all mechanical pencils, of course, not just this guy. Then finally, on the good side, both of the eraser and the clip deploy the thing, but the eraser is a real eraser, right? This is actually just like it's a decent gummy style eraser here. And it is well situated in there, right? I didn't have any experience with it falling off or coming out or anything like that, which is nice. But it also, it's not just one of those little afterthought tiny erasers that sits at the top of some mechanical pencils. This is a solid eraser. So I very much appreciated that. So to me, all of that is the good, is that the eraser is a full-size deal and actually lives in there well and is able to deploy the pen as you're used to. The pencil guts are threaded into the grip, making it super secure feeling. It has a solid action. It works very well for deploying lead. The feel is very solid and very dense, especially in the little guy, although in both of them too. It's using a well-known set of Schmidt pencil guts here. It's got a good choice of different materials, of tips, of bolts, of clips, of bolt carriers, all of those kinds of things. It's using the same long screwdriver assembly as any of the other USGs. Different sizes, upgradable clips, different materials, all of that to me is a beautiful thing. On the great side to me is actually, one could make the argument that having a very classy mechanical pencil like this that looks every bit like a fancy pen can be very nice for some folks. That could be great subjectively for some folks, but for me, where I'm actually going to put it is in the finishing. The finishing of these just keeps getting nicer. What I mean by that is that, for instance, if we take a look at the inside here of these little grooves, I'm going to zoom in a little bit, and what you're going to see here is you can actually see in the reflection of these grooves a jackass, right? I can move my hand around and you are able to see that. That is approaching a mirror polish, right? And that is a little bit nicer even than some of the other prior generation kind of things. The finish on this guy is quite good. Again, if I put this up next to the original TiScribe bolt, which is way in the past now. But this is an order of magnitude more nicely finished. Frankly, even the finishing seems to have been tuned a little bit. It feels a little bit like the dark tie is even darker, and more importantly, it's a little bit more reflective, right? It's very dark, but it's not matte. Right? Again, I can kind of move my hand here and you can see the reflection in this dark titanium finish. It is a very attractive thing, and it ends up feeling very, and this is really amorphous, but very luxurious, right? This is a wonderful object. This thing has the feel of a very nicely built car. And that's, again, this is completely ridiculous to say, but every damn time I'm getting something from Urban Survival Gear lately, it feels like the finishing is going up and up and up. Kelvin over there, who is the proprietor, is a madman, as near as I can tell, said with all the love and respect in the world, of course, but it is one of his obsessions appears to be just dialing in the finish, because this is really dialed in. And so to me, what's great here is that it is a beautiful object. It's beautifully finished, but it also happens to be a solid mechanical pencil. Bad side. Start with, I gotta say, the built-in lead is not the most impressive thing ever, right? If I just kind of write with this guy, you can see it's a very hard and very waxy sort of lead. I guess you can't really see that super well. Don't mind the thing here. I've been testing other pens with it and getting ink out of fountain pens, whatnot. But anyways, so the built-in lead is not that impressive. I can't really dig him too hard for that, right? It's probably whatever comes with the Schmidt, but still, dude, go a little softer there. Next thing, there is a finishing inconsistency under the clip here. It kind of looks like whatever medium he's tumbling this in is not quite able here. I'll see if I can zoom in. Yeah, it looks like whatever medium is not quite able to get into this little gap right here. There's like a little crescent where it isn't quite finished, right? And as this finish gets darker and darker, that gets more and more noticeable, right? So that's a little tiny detail, and it's probably a royal pain in the neck to get fixed, but it is kind of a little thing that I noticed, and is the one place where this is kind of inconsistently finished. Next thing, this guy does ride relatively high above the pocket, right? Your pocket is going to be sitting approximately here, given the height of the clip here, and so as a result, this guy is going to be sticking out some. This means if you're keeping this in a shirt pocket and you have like a flap going over it, this might be a little bit, but the thing is, compared to even some of the, compared to the TiScribe Go, etc. Actually, it's not that far off, but still, it is definitely, it's sticking up a little bit there. Next thing, $99 is the price of these guys. This is not cheap. Of course, these are being made here in the USA. I think I forgot to mention that, but if you look on the bottom of the clip here, speaking of nice little finishing touches, you zoom in a little bit so I can maybe get this to you. We see here is he has got a little Made in Texas thing right underneath there. But Kelvin is making these guys here in the States, and so, at least to me, I always like to support the home team. And that does tend to add a little bit to the price, but these are not cheap, right? It is pretty damn nicely made, right? There is, aside from that little tiny crescent, there's really not a lot I can point to as like a cut corner or any problem like that. But that is not cheap, right? I'm not going to sit here and pretend to you that this is a cheap way to get a pencil. No, absolutely. You can get lots of really great pencils for less than that, but it is sort of a thing that you want to keep in mind. This is a very pricey little unit here. Speaking of which, the one thing I got to comment on, as you're going through the checkout process, he said he has on offer 99 cents for 2 additional erasers. Like, I get it. That may be about what it costs, but dude, this is a $99 mechanical pencil. Just throw in the erasers. That feels a little nickel and dimey, right? That's like when Rolex wants to charge you for a half link, except they don't sell half links because they freaking hate you. Anyways, I digress. But no, this is just like, throw in the damn erasers. Don't nickel and dime me. Yes, you can do that. I'm sorry. Really? No. Then finally on the bad side, and this isn't really bad in the sense that most mechanical pencils don't do this, but this little part right here, this little hard tip, this does not ever retract. Now, at some level, this is one less moving part that you got to worry about. But the thing is, what this does mean is that if this is just inside your pocket, this is a very pokey little tip here, right? As opposed to on some models like the Rotring, I believe 800 is that has a tip that retracts into it. So you end up with a stubby tip on the bottom here. And then when you go to deploy it, you get the actual tip sticking out at the very end. This isn't particularly fragile, right? It's a cone sort of system, so I'm not concerned about breaking it. And the nearly as much as I am about the thin little tube models, but at the same time, that is one little detail, and that is one thing that is, well, that's one advantage the Rotring has for pocket-style carry, right? So, to me, all that is the bad is that the metal tip doesn't retract. Again, that's pretty common in the pencil world, but there are some that do that better. These charging 99 cents for erasers on a $99 pencil. $99 is not cheap whatsoever. It rides a little bit high in the pocket. Finishing is a little weird under the clip, and the built-in lead is not great. On the ugly front, I can't really think of anything, so let's just go into the final conclusion, which is that, honestly, this is another weird thing out of Kelvin and Urban Survival Gear, right? This guy appears to just, like, get bored and make weird things, and suddenly he said, pencil, sure. And you know what? Rock on. I really do applaud it, right? Because he keeps on pushing, and he does weird stuff, but the thing is, he's doing it thoughtfully. Like, this is a little detail, but this is a thing I noticed, right? If you look at the TiScribe Go, which is the pen version of this guy, which is also a beautiful thing, what you'll see is that the bolt action on it is, well, it's got a curve. It's got a whole little space in here. As opposed to on this guy, where it's just a single, which means that it's not just he's taken the same pen body, right? It would have been real easy to just swap in another clip and then try and, work it that way and leave this extra part hanging out there. But no, he just machined a whole new body and a whole new bolt carrier. Well, I think you have to do a whole new bolt carrier, but nonetheless, for the eraser. But it's just another really weird, effortful thing coming out of there, right? And there is a lot of good here, right? Because it's got a choice of materials, of clips, of sizes and tips. It's got good construction, allowing those things to be swapped after the fact. It's got a decent set of pencil guts with a solid action, firm mounting of the lead carrier in there. It's got a choice of lead advancing buttons, either this or this, and very, very, very nice finishing. Sure, the lead it ships with is not super impressive. There is some inconsistent finishing right about there under the clip. It rides a little high in the pocket. $99 is a good chunk of change. They are charging an additional $1 for erasers on top of that, which feels a little bit like, and the metal tip here is always poking out. Ultimately, I think my feeling of this comes down to how much you like the look and how much you like mechanical pencils. This is a great object. I'm not going to, debate you there. This is an absolutely beautiful mechanical pencil, and frankly, of all the ones I've handled, I may like this one the best in terms of aesthetic and in terms of mastery in the hand. One would kind of hope, because it is very, very pricey, but at the same time, it is a very expensive mechanical pencil. I'm not going to lie to you there. For the cost of one of these guys, you could get 10 Uniball Kurutogas, or a Graph Gear 1000s, or 3 Rotring 800s, which are another really strong standard in the mechanical pencil world. Or maybe a Staedtler lead holder with a set of leads, a sharpener, and a selection of erasers, and have some extra, cash left over. There are lots and lots of ways you can get a mechanical pencil way cheaper than this. And each of those things is going to offer different and compelling experiences which could meet or potentially exceed what you got going on here in terms of raw pencilitude, right? So if you're looking to maximize your raw pencilatory power for your dollar, this is not where I'm going to send you, right? This is not the best pencil for the money. 100% no. What this is a beautifully made object, which is also a very nice mechanical pencil. It is a lovely chunk of titanium, or bronze, or copper, whatever, which also happens to write pretty well, and it feels decidedly grown up, right? This is, I've often heard people complain about mechanical pencils very often not having the same gravitas as a good pen. That's a really dumb thing to say, right? But, a lot of mechanical pencils end up feeling very kiddie, right? They end up feeling very cheapy and plasticky and whatnot like that, as opposed to if you take out a really nice pen, people are going to be like, oh, that's a really nice pen. This is a really nice pencil, right? That is a very, very nice thing. And I think that there is somebody, if you are a person for whom a pencil simply makes more sense, if you take this out of your pocket, people will be like, oh, damn, that's a pencil right there. Holy cow, right? This is going to be really, unique in there. So if you are liking the style of this guy, and if you're liking the finishing quality of this feels like a freaking Lexus in mechanical pencil form, then this is going to be a great choice. I think it's also going to be a great release for urban survival gear fans more generally, right? Because and I would consider myself one of those, and it's almost to the point where I should just identify it as bias. I've watched urban survival gear go from their very early Kickstarter TiScribe Bolt sort of days to, this kind of stuff. Their most modern work, which is just decidedly amazing, right? They have gone from kind of rough around the edges, but lots of spirit, to really high-end fit and finish showcase, right? And this is another expression of what they do. This is another expression of what they're able to pull off. And I'm sure that there are other people out there who are just big fans of theirs more generally and for whom this is going to be an easy buy. Like, holy crap, now I can get the pen I love, but as a pencil, yes, absolutely 100%. So for those folks, it's going to be an insta-buy, even if they're not necessarily people who use mechanical pencils all the time, even if they're not pencil nerds. And so ultimately, that's kind of where I feel. It's like there's a lot of pencil that's available for the cost of one of these guys if you're just needing to write something down. But if you want a mechanical pencil that is nicely made, luxurious feeling, and also a damn fine pencil, and you're willing to pay this price to get it, then this will be a gem for you, and you'll be very glad that I led you here. Get it? Pencil lead? No? You're not going to graphite me about it? Okay. Hope this has been interesting to you and that you have yourselves an absolutely wonderful rest of your day. Bye now.